episode of the Cozy Corner of Cinema, episode number 191, being recorded on Saturday, November 29th, 2025. I forgot to say a couple times ago, but to any of you and all of you who listened to the new People Pictures episode talking about Long Gene Silver, thank you. New episode is coming soon. I've tried to keep a steady rhythm on when episodes get released for that because there's a bit more time that goes into them in terms of note taking, looking up research information, putting it all together and making an enjoyable and hopefully informative end result, rather than just coming on to hear and kind of just freewheeling it. Sort of like, a lot of times when I'm going to record these episodes, I have an idea of what I'd like to talk about. And seeing where it goes from there. Oftentimes you listen to the show enough, it sort of ends up drifting off into other kinds of conversation. But either way, if you guys listen to that, thank you. Much appreciated. Like I said, new episode coming soon. And now that we are officially over the hump of Thanksgiving, we are now into the Christmas season. And what a great season to be in. And I don't mean even just the literal season of Christmas. I mean the whole sort of December as a whole. Getting time off of work, seeing loved ones if you want to or choose to, staying inside when the temperature is dropping. In here right now, it's about 60 degrees, so that's not too bad. The cats are definitely going to start getting their winter fur in pretty soon, so that's great. And it's also a great time for films, of course. Now we're getting into a lot of films that they want to put out at the end of the year, or films that maybe have been in festivals they want to get out for the Academy Awards season. So there's going to be a lot of really good stuff. And not that there's not a lot of really good stuff throughout the year, but, they sort of seem like they make a point to put out really quality, top-notch stuff this month. So plenty of great films to see. Plenty of films that will have to be seen this month. Speaking of which, new film from Joachim Trier. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, but a film that's been getting some talk, I'll talk briefly about, which is his newest work, Sentimental Value. I've seen this film twice now. This reunites him, and again, I may get some of these names incorrect, so I do apologize. Renee, I don't know how to say that, Reinsiv, who was in his last film, The Worst Person in the World, and I believe she was also in another one of his films. I thought she was. Maybe I'm not actually sure, but either way, she's in this film here. We have Stellan Skarsgård in the film. It is a half Swedish, half English film. Or I'm sorry, Norwegian. They even make a joke with that in the film. But when I sort of talk about, something recently like it was just an accident, I'm talking about these really mature, character-driven films with gray moralities and characters having to really kind of come to terms with their past and where they are in life now. I think this really kind of solidifies that. It's a very mature film. It's a film for adults. It's a film dealing with unresolved feelings in one's past. The structure of a home and the memories that lie against the walls there. So it's sort of like you can change the interiors of a home. You can tear down the walls and, put new furniture and all that. But it's still these memories that live on. It's sort of like not even just from your family, but from, generations past and generations to come should you move out or should something happen to the house. And dealing with these in a way that even if not everything is resolved, there is some, or I should say, if there's not even complete closure, there's still a step towards something signifying that. Because we have Stellan Skarsgård's character in the film. He is a filmmaker. He's a renowned filmmaker. He is distant from both of his daughters, one more so than the other. His daughter Nora, played by Renee, she is an actress. She does a lot of theater. She's a successful enough actress. And his daughter Agnes, played by, I don't think I'm going to try to pronounce his name, Inga Ibsdottir Lilius. Probably pronounced that incorrectly. She has a closer relationship to him, but there's still some feelings there. Some complications arise. Gustav, played by Stellan Skarsgård, wants to make his new film a very personal film, and the complications of this family dynamic that comes into it, involving this script, involving the subject matter. We also have Elle Fanning in the film, plays Rachel Kemp. She is an actress as well. She is someone who wants to get more involved with, a real filmmaker, wants to make something that is really meaningful, and there's some hesitation from her management, and it all kind of comes together in a way that, like I said before, it's a very mature look at these characters, where it's one where there's a lot that is not shown, there's a lot that we don't know about their past, but there is enough that we can see where each of them are coming from in terms of generational sort of, not even trauma necessarily, but what happens with one generation is passed down to another and is passed down to another, even if it's not intentional. Sort of like we learn a lot more about Stellan Skarsgård's character, signification, the significance, I'm sorry, of the screenplay in terms of how it relates to not only his mother, but his daughters as well, and the complications that arise from there. Really great, quiet dialogue sequences, great photography as well. There's a whole narration early on, sort of talking about the feelings that a house can have of people that live through it, and does it feel pain, does it feel full, does it want people in there. Joachim Trier is a filmmaker who I really like a lot. I really liked The Worst Person in the World, but I remember on a second viewing not feeling as enthusiastic about it. It's a film that I do like, but it's not one that, if anything, I actually felt I went down on the film on a second viewing, but it's still a good film. And to me, Oslo, August 31st, I think it's a much stronger film. And here, this is my favorite of his work. And it's sort of, it's ridiculous to say favorite, but it's the one that, at least emotionally, I've gotten the most out of. And he's also done Reprise. I'm talking about just his features. Reprise from 2006, Louder Than Bombs in 2015, Thelma from 2017, and The Other Munch from 2018. I believe The Other Munch is a short film, at least at 48 minutes. And I'm not sure about... Okay, so Louder Than Bombs is also a feature film as well. Anyways, the point is, I just really enjoy well-written, nuanced, good characters. I am so over spectacle. I'm so over theatrics. I just am looking... When I think of films... I think of my favorite films this year, they've been ones that I'm really kind of connecting with, that I end up walking away with something more so than just, well, that was an enjoyable movie, or that was just something that was a good time. It was quick, it was whatever. It's ones like these that I found myself really getting more out of, and on the second viewing as well, knowing outcomes of certain situations, knowing contexts of certain situations, of how characters are applying to certain things, it really is beneficial on a second rewatch. And it was one that I had intended to rewatch, however, not as soon as I did. There's some context to that that led me to watch this again for the second time. But quality film, I think right now in terms of the potential Academy Award runnings, there's not really anything else that I think has the maturity and the nuance of something like this that is currently in the running. I haven't seen some of the other ones. There's a couple that I haven't seen. At the time of this recording, I have not seen Hamnet, which I'm very much looking forward to, the new Chloe Zhao film. Marty Supreme looks very good. But just some of the ones that have been getting talk, I've just not been as high on. That's not to say they're bad films. They're just not ones that I've been walking away from really thinking about. Because, I watch... something like this, or It Was Just an Accident, or Blue Moon. These are the ones that I'm really, they're sticking with me. That I'm like, yeah, no, these are quality films, and it's fantastic. I love this film. It's great, and I'd say give it all the Academy Awards, man. It's fantastic, but it's getting a lot of talk as is. I mean, it's known. Joachim Trier is, like I said, I think with The Worst Person in the World is kind of where, maybe even more so in Oslo, August 31st is what I think I started to hear more people talk about him, because that was getting, that was like 2021, I believe. I don't know. I believe so. But that's where I started to hear more about him. But yeah, quality film. Highest of recommendations if you're just into good, mature, quiet character films. This is the one to go for right now. There's plenty of solid films that have been released lately. Like I said, we're at a good point now, getting a lot of good new Academy Award hopefuls. But also just solid films that even if they're not met with the immediate kind of praise and attention, I think are worth looking into nonetheless. It's just ones that may or may not be in the general kind of conversation that will get pushed to the forefront. But then there's other very good films that are there as well, and I think should be seeked out. Like what I was saying before, sort of like there are very good films this year that may not make a favorites, like favorites of the year list, which is all it's all semantics. It doesn't mean that you're putting these films down, but there's just a handful of those films that are just really good that are not getting a lot of talk, that won't end up on a best of the year list, or won't end up on ones that people will discuss again and again. But it's important to seek those films out, because that's how you find out about these types of films that after everything's said and done, if no people aren't talking about them, they get kind of swept away and they get lost unless there's some sort of rediscovery or there's some sort of reevaluation that puts people onto it. I mean, films come out and then no one talks about them, and then years down the line, they end up trending on social media, or people talk about them because it's suddenly more readily available or anything of the sort. So it's good to get on top of that. It's good to kind of seek out those films that are not going to be nominated for 15 Oscars, but are the ones that are just going to really maybe stick with you more in the long run. And that's something to really kind of keep an eye out for. But it was great to go to the cinema last night. It was Friday night, Black Friday. People are out, and I'm not doing that kind of crazy shopping or anything like that. If I gotta do some shopping or whatever, it's gonna be on the internet. I ain't doing any of that in-store stuff. But it was great being at the cinema and just seeing the amount of people that were out. Man, people talk about, oh, no one's going to the movies anymore, but it's sort of like, man, there were just tons and tons of people there. I saw a couple films at the cinema yesterday. I ended up seeing 3 films, and from right when we got there to the end of the night, it was basically packed the entire time, which is fantastic. It's great to see people, going out in that communal sort of experience of not waiting for streaming, or not, just waiting for it to be readily available. Going out, making the effort, putting more of a value on the films themselves that are not disposable. It's so easy to I've mentioned before, in terms of like streaming, it's like, it's so easy just to be like, oh, I don't like this film 20 minutes in, I'm going to turn it off. Not that I'm doing that. If I start a film, I'm going to finish it unless there's a good reason not to, and I've never had to not finish a film. I've never walked out of a film. I've never, if I'm there at the cinema, I'm seeing the damn film no matter how poor it is. But just seeing people in the lobby, hearing the conversations, people talking about, I like this film, I like that film, it's great. Oh, we're seeing this. Oh, I saw this already. I think you'll like it, blah, blah, blah. It is so great. And that's such a good sign for the cinema, for the theaters. I think we're definitely at that point now where people, I think, are hopefully realizing that these big kind of spectacle movies are ones to see theatrically. Even recently, I was reading I saw a thing that was a new film that had been leaked online prematurely. But I'm still making the point to go see it theatrically. I could sit here at my computer. I could watch it right now if I wanted to, even though it is technically not released yet. But I am not going to. It is a film I want to see theatrically, and also, I want to see these films theatrically. I want to see new films theatrically. I don't want to wait for streaming, or I don't want to just sit here. If I have the option to do, if they were still doing the, same day streaming and theatrical, I'm going to go theatrical, man, because that's how I want to experience the film. At home, there are plenty of benefits, but there are also plenty of distractions. At the cinema, yes, there are plenty of distractions as well. I'm not going to say there aren't. You get people who are talking in the theater, people are, eating too loud or on their telephones. I completely understand that. But I found myself far more immersed in a film theatrically. I find myself thinking about certain films more theatrically than if I had at home, even if the films themselves are not very good, or it at least brings to mind conversation where it's just sort of like you can't pull out your telephone, you can't just walk out. I mean, I guess you could do both those things, but one, if you're on a telephone during the movie, then you got bigger problems going on in your head, and two, if you're walking out, I mean that's your prerogative, but I think you're gonna be, I would imagine they'd be less likely to do so if you're paying for it. If you made the point to get in the car, find parking, if you get concessions, then to have to pay for them and all that. But either way, it was a very nice. It was very great just seeing everybody out, and the films I was seeing weren't really many people in the theater. So I know that the new Wicked movie is out, and Zootopia 2 has just released at the time of this recording. So there's a lot of families, going to see those movies and talking about them and stuff. But and yeah, people want to see those in theaters. People want to watch the new Wicked in theaters. You want to hear the big score, the big soundtrack, the visuals. You can, yes, it'll be good at home, but boy oh boy, 'cause I saw the new Wicked. I saw it theatrically, and seeing it, and the audience was really into it. The surround sound was fantastic. It's a big film. You want to see it on a large screen. The soundtrack was really pumping through the speakers. It all sounded great, man. And, I understand the benefits. I understand the advantages of not seeing something theatrically, but I will always be an advocate for the theatrical experience because it is just great. If I'm with my girlfriend, we're seeing a film, and we're seeing another film, we get something to eat in between, and we talk about the film, we discuss back and forth. Yeah, we discuss at home as well, but we're there. It's so fresh in our minds. It's sort of like we're intently focused on it. We're not going up to go to the bathroom. We're not playing on our telephone. We're just there, man. It's just like, yeah, this is what life's all about, man. This is a holy place. These films can thrive and see it with an audience, man. It's just fantastic as well. Next, even with Sentimental Value as well, it's just great seeing that, in a theater, getting, really kind of thinking a lot about it after the fact on the drive home. It was just absolutely fantastic, man. It was just great overall. And you can just tell, like, certain films you're going to see with certain audiences, you're not going to get that distraction. You're not going to get the headache. If you're seeing a general kind of movie, general kind of like big, you're seeing it with a big audience and all that, you're more likely to get these kind of distractions. But if you're going to see, like a smaller film, like, like a foreign film or something like that, or like a really kind of quiet drama, I think the chances are more slim to get these sort of audience members who may be a distraction or may be a nuisance, because they're probably not going to see a film like Sentimental Value. They're probably not going to see it was just an accident, and also the theaters that you see it in too. You support your local cinemas. You see them like at an art house cinema, you're in a local one. You're not going to be getting Joe Schmo who's sucking down mozzarella sticks while he's watching the new Wicked movie or anything like that. You ain't going to be getting any of that, So you watch Sentimental Value, you watch one of these films that you're going to get a certain kind of audience with it, that they all are on the same page. I don't even know how you'd be able to talk during a foreign film, because sort of like you definitely are not paying attention to what's going on, because if you're not reading it, then it's sort of like, well, unless you're going to be, just following, trying to follow what's going on without reading it. Good luck with that. But also don't talk during the movie. It's pretty goes without saying. It's completely ridiculous. But either way. Always an advocate for the theatrical experience. There's just so many great films to see, and especially when you're waiting for streaming and stuff, man. I mean, I've said before that when it comes to streaming, it's just, I'm not doing any browsing, man. It's one thing if I'm looking on Tubi, I'll open up the app to put stuff on my watch list there to watch later, man. I'm not, I mean it more so that if I intend to watch something, I'm not going to sit there and browse for an hour. You get so bogged down with that in a way that you go to the cinema and you're not doing that. It's like, okay, you are here to watch this certain film. It's not, I mean, you can go on the website and be like, all right, well, what do we want to see? We got options here. You go on these apps, you go on these streaming services, and it is overwhelming to the point of almost nauseating. Like, it's being convenienced to death. And you could say the same thing about the video store, and that's a valid argument. I think you go to a video store, but still, on the flip side of that, when you're going to a video store, if we don't have any near us anymore, you're still making the point to go somewhere. and you're still paying that amount. So except you're a lot more selective about what you're choosing. The convenience of just being able to put on and turn off any film, I think, is a positive and a negative, because you can, maybe, you save money by watching a film that wasn't very good, or whatever like that. I get it. But I do think that there has been sort of a certain of devaluation of films, a certain disposability, and with television as well. It's here today, gone tomorrow. People are not. There isn't that general sort of discussion anymore about like this new film, now this new show. When like Breaking Bad was on, people. I remember being in school and people were talking about, oh my gosh, the new episode this week, or a bit before me, but like The Sopranos, like one of these shows where it's like, wow, everybody talked about it that Monday. It was a communal thing. Now it's like, people will talk about it for a day. Oh, this new Netflix documentary. Okay, it's gone tomorrow. Tomorrow we're on to this next thing. It's like, oh, today we're talking about this show. Okay, well, we're done with that show. We're going to talk about this. It's sort of like the bombardment of convenience, I think, has been a detriment in a way that it devalues, and devalues not only the, how do I want to put this? Not the quality, but I think devalues sort of how it can stick with you, how it can land with you. Because I think when you're just binging the entire show at once, you're just oh, I'm not gonna I'm gonna watch 10 minutes of this film and turn it off, watch another film. It's not sticking with you. It's sort of like it's just running through your brain. It's like fast food, man. It's like, okay, you just took in all this information of the new Stranger Things or whatever, and then it's gone. And the next week you're done with it. You're not talking about it. You're not allowing yourself to really kind of sit on these episodes or these films and all that. And there's no wrong way to watch them, of course. People talk about, oh, we binge watch a lot of stuff. That's fine. If that's the way people go about it, there's no wrong way of doing it. Because then the opposite, you could say like, oh, well, now I'm sitting there and I know it's all there and I want to watch it, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong way to watch something. I'm just talking about in terms of context of how media is released now, which is why I find I'm just so disinterested in streaming. I've had so many issues with streaming, and so many films just come and go, and it's just like I said, convenienced to death. And that's why I mentioned before, I'm just like, I got Tubi now, and if some of my acquaintances have them, they want to give them to me, that's fine. But I'm more interested in paying for movie memberships, AMC and Cinemark, and I have another one at the local cinema, because I'm going there more often. I'm using them far more often than I am on streaming services. I'm also buying a lot too. So, a lot of films I'm buying on Blu-ray and 4K, and it's sort of like, okay, well, I'm now putting a certain kind of value on these films as well, because I made the point to purchase these films, and if it's a bad film, whatever, but at least I at some point, I knowingly made the effort to say that, yes, I want to spend money on this film, whatever it may be, more so than just, clicking on, streaming and then not. Because I remember hearing about something that, I think when The Irishman came out, I saw a thing that was like some concerningly high percentage of viewers didn't finish it, because it was a long film, and because it was 3.5 hours. And I think that model of just like these long films is kind of gone at home, because if you're going to see it at a cinema, man, you're not. You're less likely, I think, to walk out. I mean, unless you just really don't care about, unless you just don't care about, losing the cost of the ticket. That's fine, whatever. But you put a 3.5 hour film like that theatrically, which I was fortunate enough to see theatrically, and it was like, wow, it's great. It's a really compelling film. And also, actually, even as Scorsese's next film, Killers of the Flower Moon, which was also about 3.5 hours. I know that's on Apple now, but it's sort of like, okay, we watch it at home. Let's say you watch Killers of the Flower Moon. You got 1,000 things going on at home, and you're like, you know what? I can't get into it. I'm too distracted. Maybe I'll come back, or maybe I won't. In the theater, you're there. You're there. You're in there. The lights go down. The screen is up, and it's great. And I think that when I talk about the devaluing of films, that is what I'm talking about. And I don't mean, I know they have like the superhero movies and stuff. Those are like 3 hours and stuff. Those are like 2.5 hours. I'm not talking about those. Those are just like, I'm not dogging those ones, but those are, they're meant to consistently stimulate you, so that you're not getting bored. So you can watch the next, whatever CGI monster battle, and that's fine. I'm not dogging those movies, but you're not getting, your attention span is being shot watching those, because you're not sitting with characters. You're not you're not you're not allowing yourself to be quiet, basically, because there's always noise happening. There's always a headache happening, and and I don't like bring up that example, but I also, it's just kind of like my go-to of just like, I don't know, it's I think there's something lost streaming that you're not getting theatrically, or I'm sorry, there's something lost streaming that you're not getting there that you are theatrically, but I don't know. I'm repeating myself. I'm going in circles at this point, but it was just interesting as all. Certain films are the context that you see them in, the mood that you see them in. It could be anything, but I definitely think that at home there is something a bit lost there. Whatever. Whatever. Now I'm kind of going in a circle. I'm kind of repeating myself. I've always been an advocate for the theatrical experience of new films, of older films, and it was just seeing that the theater was just so packed that it was just great. It just made me smile. It was just like, wow, people are actually going out on a Friday night and they're making the effort to say, hey, I want to go to the cinema. I want to see a film, and that's fantastic. But I'm gonna wrap this episode up right here. So much to do, so I'm gonna end this episode a couple minutes early. There's just, like I said, so much to do here that I want to get this episode out. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. What I always say, I never have something to end these episodes with. So just take care, get the work done, stay true to yourself, and so many great films to watch. So let's just start watching them. So you guys take care, all right?